The former Mukurweni Member of Parliament, Honorable Cabando wa Cabando, has got a bone to chew with the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula. Apparently, Cabando wa Cabando feels that Moses Wetangula has got no respect to Raila Odinga. But how did it start? When William Ruto started intimidating the courts and declared that he was not going to obey the court orders concerning the housing levy, people were waiting with bated breath to see how the courts would react. And the courts went ahead, especially the Court of Appeal, and declared the housing levy unconstitutional. William Ruto went ahead to deduct the housing levy from employees. And Moses Wetangula, who is the Speaker of the National Assembly, decided to go to court to appeal against the ruling of the Court of Appeal. He moved to the Supreme Court. That is where the bone of contention is. And when he moved to the court, Raila did not take it kindly, because Raila felt that Moses Wetangula is the Speaker of the National Assembly. That assembly is housing all the members of parliament from the government and opposition. But Raila felt that Moses Wetangula was taking sides, and he called him out bitterly. Take a look.
Janamu nataka nani? Baba. Na wasemu nataka nani?
Zakayo, shuka chini. Shuka chini. Sasa Wakenya wana hasira zaidi. Hasira imepanda zaidi. Juzi alisema yeye anaweza kuendelea mbele hata kama mahakama imeamua. Hata hajali mambo ya mahakama. Akaalika yule mama ambaye ni Chief Justice ati aende Ikulu wajadiliane. Nilimshauri huyo mama, usiende Ikulu, utashika mateka huko. Akaenda. Kutoka huko yeye anasema ati amepewa pesa ya kuajiri majudges. Pesa ya mambo ya bajeti yafanywe katika Ikulu. Na bwana Speaker, bwana Wetangula alikuwa huko. Sasa bwana Wetangula mwenyewe ameenda mahakamani. Hii sheria ilikuwa imetoka kwa bunge, ikaenda kwa bwana Ruto, akaweka sahihi. Sasa watu wengine wakaenda mahakamani. Mahakama ikisema hii sheria si halali. Bwana Speaker katika ulimwengu mzima hana uwezo tena kwenda mahakamani. Anaenda kama nani? Ameenda kama nani? Bwana Wetangula hafai kuwa Speaker ya bunge ya Kenya. Shenzi sana. Shenzi sana. Shenzi sana. Kama wewe ni Speaker, umeshapitisha sheria, kazi yako imekwisha hapo. Sasa imebaki katikati ya serikali kuu na nini na mahakama. Sio kazi tena ya bunge tena. Wewe huwezi kwenda mahakama bila kuuliza wabunge. Speaker ni mtumishi wa bunge. Yeye ni mtumishi wa bunge. Hawezi kwenda kwa mahakama bila kuuliza idhini ya wabunge. Alienda kama nani? Ameenda kama nani?
So it is that statement from the Right Honorable Raila Odinga that rattled Moses Wetangula. He actually feels that Raila went overboard, and he took to his tweet to call out Raila. And there's a long tweet that he did, I think it was a letter there, where he was saying that Raila is making unfounded and uncalled for statements. And he was saying that Raila, his stature does not allow him to delve into such statements or get into such problems between, the courts and Moses Wetangula. And he quoted something that Raila must understand, that there is a section, an article that allows the Speaker of the National Assembly to appeal any matter on behalf of the National Assembly. Now, Cabando had a problem by the way Moses Wetangula addressed Raila Odinga. Actually, Moses Wetangula had begun the letterhead by saying, calling out the former Prime Minister, Honorable Raila Odinga, for misleading the public and engaging in dirty politics. So this is what Cabando took to his tweet to do. He actually reacted on the tweet from Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula. And he said, "Dear Moses, the poet," because Moses had written a long letter. So Cabando is calling him a poet. That's what he feels he is, speaking English there. "Dear Moses, the poet, your letter stinks of guilt, malice, and vendetta. Salute the addressee properly as Right Honorable Engineer Raila Odinga, Elder of the Golden Heart, then accept that Raila Odinga echoes the disappointments of most of the people. You've abrogated the autonomy of Bunge by becoming a cheer steward for Rais Ruto." So basically, Cabando has got an issue with two things. One, he feels that Moses Wetangula is demeaning Raila in the way he's addressing him. It sounds like a mockery, but he feels that Raila should be addressed as the Right Honorable Engineer Raila Odinga, EGH. I don't know whether it matters. Maybe I need to be educated on that. But he also has a problem, and is reminding Moses Wetangula that whatever Raila Odinga is championing, Raila stands in and he echoes the sentiments and the thoughts and the predicaments of the many Kenyans who would have depended on Moses Wetangula to play a position of neutrality as the Speaker of the National Assembly, because he feels that the way Moses Wetangula is behaving, he's already taken sides, and he calls him a cheer steward for Rais Ruto. In other words, he's dancing to Ruto's tune. Even from where we are, I have already painted for you a picture of what is happening. Who is right and who is wrong? Because Cabando feels that Raila is speaking on behalf of the people. But then, ladies and gentlemen, let us go back a little bit. This issue of housing levy started when William Ruto was in one of the churches in Donholm sometimes last year, and he spoke as if it was a trivial issue. And then the Kenya Kwanza team took it and they started spreading the message. People were called for public participation and they refused. They said, "We don't want it." But that was a mere formality. As always, our president and the government would always call people for public participation that they will not take into consideration. And then there was a moment where Parliament was intimidated and threatened to pass the laws. I remember some members of Parliament even went for some errands outside the country. They did not know that this matter was going to be discussed just within hours and be passed, because they thought that a weighty matter such as housing levy was to be discussed for some times before it is passed. So from the onset, there was a clandestine motive with the housing levy. And Moses Wetangula is not playing as a neutral speaker. Do you remember the former speaker, Kenneth Marende, his brother from is it Kakamega, Emuhaya constituency? The former Emuhaya constituency member of parliament, Kenneth Marende, or Tiato, was very neutral. In fact, if you ask the members of parliament who were in parliament during his tenure, he was described as a man with Solomonic wisdom. There's a way he knew how to balance. But Moses Wetangula is simply taking sides. Let me ask you, when Parliament has passed a bill into an act of Parliament, and then it is taken to the President for assent, amnaweka ile muhuri ama signature, is the matter with the Parliament or with the office of the President? It becomes law. So when Moses Wetangula says and is quoting some articles that allows him to go and appeal on behalf of Parliament, then one would ask, which Parliament is he talking about? Because the Parliament that is talking about has got majority of the government side, and you all know that because some of them were compromised and they were bought. And we also have a substantial number of members of Parliament from the opposition. So this Moses Wetangula is telling us that he went there to appeal on behalf of the members of the government side. Because if that is the case, and of course it is, then Moses Wetangula is a speaker of the UDA or Kenya Kwanza, not the speaker of the National Assembly, the Kenyan National Assembly. He also goes ahead to prove that state capture is real. All the independent institutions, and of course in his letter he was trying to accuse Raila Odinga of undermining, the independent institutions. But state capture is real because William Ruto summoned the Chief Justice and summoned Moses Wetangula to go to State House. It was never a neutral place when they went there, and when they came out, they told us that they had agreed to work together. But we know for a fact that when you go to State House, it was a riot act that was going to be read to them, or if it wasn't, William Ruto was going to have his way. So Moses Wetangula is proving to us. I've seen Kimani Ichung'wah says that there was state capture during Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure. But I don't think if there was, it cannot be compared to what we have today. Because our courts are being threatened. We didn't see Uhuru Kenyatta threatening the courts. I know he refused to give them money. He cut the money to the judiciary, and Maraga complained about it. But the blatant threats and intimidation were never there. This one of William Ruto attracted the attention even the East African, Federation of Lawyers and Magistrates, Commonwealth lawyers spoke against it because it was now becoming too much. And Madam Koome seems to have coiled her tail. So Moses Wetangula, just like all the other institutions, the DPP's office, the DCI, have been captured by the executive. And I want to say this. Moses Wetangula is not very careful because William Ruto has taken this opportunity to annihilate him politically. When you are given a responsibility to go and appeal against something that goes against the wishes of Kenyans, then you know that this is a poisoned chalice. We have the Attorney General who should be doing all whatever Moses Wetangula is doing. The Attorney General, Justin Muturi, JB, is the one who should appeal because it lies in his docket, it is his purview. But when you now push Moses Wetangula and he feels that he's doing this to protect the government and all this, he's doing it but very blindly. William Ruto has got an ulterior motive because he knows very well that in the near future, Moses Wetangula would want to be maybe try his hand in being a running mate or a president, because Moses Wetangula is actually a very senior politician. He's been a lawyer to the late Jaramogi Odinga, Raila's father. He's part of the team that played a pivotal role in the second liberation. I don't know why he has sunk up to now. He's now dining with the oppressors instead of staying with the oppressed. And Moses Wetangula is among the team, together with Mudavadi and Kimani Ichung'wah, Ndindi Nyoro and Rigathi Gachagua, who have been told, you wait, nikitoka mtaingia. They are the people who have been stagnated by a promise that when William Ruto finishes his 2 terms, then one of them will be given a position. So this is a ploy to ensure that Moses Wetangula does not have the political light. And William Ruto is good at it. That is what he has done to Rigathi Gachagua. He has pit Rigathi Gachagua against Kambani people, against Luyaland, against Luland. If today the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua would want to contest for a presidential seat, he will have it very rough, because there was a time the Kamba people told him, you are too much against Kalonzo. And you know that they don't read from the same page. They don't see eye to eye with the sons of Mulembe, because they are rubbing shoulders the negative way, because Mudavadi would also want to become a running mate or a president after William Ruto. And you know that Rigathi Gachagua confessed that he's the one who intimidated the Azimio supporters, telling Simba that mimi ndio nilichukua security yako. And people know for a fact that he one day confronted Raila that as long as I'm in power, he will never go back to demonstration. So if he cannot campaign freely, people will reject him. And I can see Moses Wetangula getting into this trap, which is not very much okay. Moses Wetangula is the speaker of the National Assembly, not the speaker of the UDA. And on this, I think Raila was very right. I'm not a lawyer, but Moses Wetangula cannot persuade us that he went to appeal on behalf of Parliament. If anything, that bill was not parliamentarians' bill. It wasn't. In fact, Parliament was muzzled into passing it by force. And Moses Wetangula has been given, a rope to hang himself. The controversy or the altercation between Raila Odinga and Moses Wetangula, and now Cabando wa Cabando. Who do you support? Because Cabando says Raila speaks on behalf of many, and I think he is very right. Moses, just like all the other leaders, should be very careful, because now he's serving his interest. But remember that in politics, after interest, betrayal comes.